Graceful Touch speaks out, where we look at, listen to, visit with, meet thought leaders within the area of health and wellness, a, sharing their particular slant, their particular values, their particular information. Why? Because we want to be the pivot point within Graceful Touch of where people know they can get high quality information. With that said, let's bring on today's guest who will be speaking with us about Your Health Matters. Parveen Smith, welcome to the call.
Hello, and how are you, Guy?
I am well. Thank you for asking. And let's just dive right into the content. Your title that you gave me today was Your Health Matters.
hmm
I think it does, doesn't it? But why is, yeah, that's only like three words, but there's two powerful words there. Health matters. What does that mean to you?
To me, health matters is actually everything, the core of your whole being in existence, because without your health, you have absolutely nothing. You can be disabled, you might not be able to work, you can't look after your family. There's so many sort of segments that go off shooting from where your health matters. And if you don't look after your health, you can actually be deprived of having a healthy, happy life.
Mm-mm-mm. Yeah, you could be the richest man in the world. You could be up there with people like Bill Gates and whatnot and have all the, but if you don't have your health, you don't got anything.
You sure
It
haven't.
doesn't matter because you got to have your health. Now, let me ask you a more personal question then. Why is this topic key and paramount to you? Is this a, yeah, what's your history? Have you gone through a situation of losing your health and having to fight back?
Yeah, sure, Guy, for sure I have. I think when I look at life in general, we can have many challenges in life. Sometimes, we may wonder, why am I going through this? Why have I been given this path, this life, to endure maybe sometimes pain, suffering, and the hurt, maybe even. And many people might be actually resonating with this as I speak about this. But for me personally, I was born in the UK, but from an Indian Malaysian background. And what had happened was, of course, when we go back into our history of our parents and grandparents, they may not have had the best life either. So there is something there that sort of trickles into the being of you when you are born, and what are we carrying into the future of our lives that we may not even know about yet. But
Mm,
when we are there, we're going into this life, and as a child, I was growing up, my parents split up at a very young age. And a lot of it has to do with the culture. In fact, I've got to say it's culture and the way the mindset was in those days and the way that they were brought up to, which affected us. In fact, I've got to be quite honest in saying that. And being brought up in then eventually into a single family, single parent family, with my mum having five girls, all within the age of under 5, 6 years old, all of us. And that was a massive impact actually on growing up. So growing up was not the easiest thing actually, because we were born in the UK, and the culture here, of course, was very different. There was a lot of racism, there was a lot of differentialities of culture, experiences, and who are you, brown skin, white skin. So all this was going on in the era that I was brought up. And then we had that separation of culture, that in our whole family, there were no men, there were no boys. So we grew up without a male figure. Then
mm,
further on, at a very young age, we learnt household duties. Not like nowadays, we learnt how to sew, crochet, cook, all the duties of a household without imagining a TV. And then that was part of the backbone, actually, of what we have become today, because we have these skills that we carry on into the future for our existence in the world that we live in. And it hasn't got to be a harsh existence if we don't want it to be. But just going back to my story a little bit, having the most sort of, I would say, dysfunctional sort of life, but trying to make it easy going because my mum was trying to do her best and relatives tried to help out. And then going to school wasn't always the easiest. And then at the age of 15, I was working. I was working in a factory to help my mum to pay the bills. And all of my wages that I earned went to her. The one thing I did say to her, though, Kai, was, after all of this money that I'm going to earn, because in those days, leather jackets became the in thing for our age group, can I have a leather jacket out of my income whenever you say I'm ready to have one? So in the end, when I turned 17 years old, my mum gave me some money, which I was really stunned and shocked, actually. She says, there you go, there's your money, go and buy whatever you want. Anyway, so we did. And then, of course, we have lots of other complexities, specifically in my life, of different cultures and the actual expectations of who should you marry, who should you be with. You know, you can't break the culture, you have to stay within the culture. So all this was happening, and I had quite an experience, I've got to say, actually, you know, going back to the homeland of India and experiencing firsthand yet again why me? Because you start to think about these things when you're going through a little bit of a tough time. Why me? And I just carried on. I was 17 years old, lots and lots of stories in between. But the two biggest things, Guy, I can tell you is that it's all about the disabilities that I had. I hadn't looked after my health. But then again, how could I look after my health? Because some part
Well,
of
you were
me
too
growing
busy
up,
to look after your health.
exactly. I was also working, and then I had siblings younger than myself. We were doing the shopping, we were doing other things, and it was almost like we take a parental role at such a young age sometimes, you know, and we were too busy just doing and doing and doing. And we had a lot of tragedies as well, because my elder sister, 1 year older than me, she passed away at the age of
I'm
20.
sorry.
So no, thank you. But it's all the traumas and experiences of a life, you know. And you would know this really well with the work that you do, because when we're going through shocks and traumas in life generally, where's it going to go? It inhabits in the body, and the body holds on to it. That's my perfect believing in what I know because of my own experiences and the people I help. And it is that these shocks and traumas, how I believe it actually sits within the body until we have the help to release it, let go of it, nurture it, care for it, heal it, and so forth. So my long life stories, two major disabilities. I'm lucky to be alive twice now, and
Wow.
then apart from that, my sister who passed away at the age of 20.
Wow. Wow. Well, that sounds like quite a bit of a history of fighting for your health and whatnot.
Mm-hmm,
Now,
mm-hmm.
today we come to the current, and where is your health today?
Okay, so where is my health today? So I had my first disability 27 years ago through childbirth, actually, where my pelvis split, and that was through childbirth. But I was already struggling through pregnancy with her, but nobody listened to me as much as I sort of made the professionals alarmed to know that I'm struggling here, can't walk. But anyway, so I was disabled for 4.5 years in totality, where I could eventually walk again. And I was given 50-50 chance of ever walking again back then. I was 27 years old. Was I about 27 years old? So we're looking at my experiences of the trauma that was in my body was quite extreme. I was just explaining to somebody today who does PT, personal training, and he's asking a little bit about what sort of exercises should I give you, Parveen? And we were doing this in the park earlier. And what injuries have you had? So I was telling him, he's like, oh my goodness. I said, yes, my physios told me the impact on my pelvis was almost the same as having a high speed car crash on the motorway, and an impact was so
Wow.
severe, even though exactly, even though my bones were not broken as such, but there was no ligaments, you know, that was holding my bones together and all this, and my pelvis was just really rickety and just so too flexible doing this all the time. And every time I stood up, it, as you will understand because of the work you do, it felt like my insides were falling through me and out. And that's the physio said to me at the end after everything when I was in very good recovery. She says, you know, when you used to say that, it was exactly what was happening at the time, but we didn't want to scare you. So I was actually wearing two belts around my pelvis to keep my pelvis tight, and I couldn't walk. I was disabled. I was in a wheelchair. 50-50 chance of ever walking again, but I did. I got through it. My first one.
And you walk today.
I can walk today, so amazing. Just breaking
Awesome.
up a little bit there, Gary. Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
interviews I've done, I really think that I hear oftentimes is the person is passionate about whatever they are moving towards and whatever they are because of something in their background. Their background pivoted them in a way of being able, sounds like that's where you're at. So, you do, uh, how did your assistance to a person's life so that they can benefit not only from your experiential knowledge past, but also from
Sorry, Guy. I think a lot of the communication between you and I just then was cutting out quite a bit, so I didn't capture every
okay,
single word you said. Could you just
not a worry.
bullet point at a point there?
Yeah, let me just go ahead and repeat it. Problem. So a lot of times what I see uh, in people that I interview is today because of spiritual knowledge they have in their past. For question that is what do uh, can you hear me all right?
It's still cutting out quite a bit. I managed to get some words of what happens to the body a little bit. I just caught that, but there is quite a bit of lapse in hearing what you're saying that are breaking out a little bit. Okay, and the screen's frozen at the moment, so we'll just wait to see. Okay, so we did cut out a little bit then. We'll just get Guy back. But yes, so I'll just continue a little bit more just to share about more of the traumas that can hit our body. And when I say hit, literally can feel like that. So I'm just carrying on a little bit here, Guy. Just
Great.
sharing, yes, a bit more about how our body can go through different traumas. Yes.
Yeah. And that can bring us forward in the current success today of what we're doing now. People that identify with your situation of having a past trauma or whatnot to help them understand your health. What do you do? Where is your help at?
Yes, so of course I've been doing this work for over 20 years now. So I was mentoring schools, and then of course I became ill for the second time in 2005. So 18 years ago was my second illness that hit me, and it was breathing difficulties. So it took me another 2 years, from 4.5 years, and another 2 years to recover. So when we look at the trauma that our body goes through, and people start to understand when they come to see me that if they're going through illness, it can be any of the big diseases that a lot of people don't want to talk about. It can be heart problems. It can be migraines, for example, all sorts of different types of things, helping children with stuff that happens at school and not being able to function properly, can't sleep at night. Children are bedwetting, children who don't even sleep in their own bed. So there's 3 children at the moment I'm sort of looking into. So what's happening here is when people come to me and they say, Parveen, I can't do this, or I know someone who's not doing this, can't, or feeling really ill, have got the migraines and so forth. So I just sort of look at how I'm going to assess them first of all with my experience that I've had. And I've been training people in this field for, again, 17, 18 years since my recovery. And what I can say is when a person's body and they're feeling the trauma, they're feeling the shock, or they're feeling that they're not healthy and well, they should seek immediate health support straight away, because the longer you leave it, the worse it gets. And I'm sure, again, once again, Guy, in your work, you're probably going to see the same sort of thing. If you're leaving it and prolonging the actual pain, the problem, it will just exaggerate and become bigger, 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 and it gets worse. So I always say to my clients, if you've got a problem, come and see me first of all, and I will do a consultation with them then I would look at working with them on a physical level. So if the people are in person with me, this is how my therapy does work. We can do this on Zoom and in person, and it's energy, it's a therapy. It's quite transformative, is what our clients tell us, and we see the results really quite quickly. Within 4 sessions, the people are actually feeling quite well. In 1 or 2 sessions, a person will see a change. 3 and 4 sessions, there'll be a better change. And it can be, like I say, any of the things I've already mentioned before, as in what are people going through, but you've got to act on it quite quickly. Otherwise, it takes longer and more sessions for the recovery to take place. And I can say the first thing is understand if your body's in pain, if something feels like not right, if something feels like, for example, even your GP's told you, your doctor's told you, this is wrong with you, that's wrong with you. You can be put on medication, which is fine, but then you can also get extra additional support for your quicker recovery. And this is what we see with our clients and with all the practitioners that I've trained. We see a quicker recovery, actually, even with or without medication. We do. It's natural. The
Nice.
therapy is natural.
So what natural therapy? That's one thing. Other thing sets you apart from any other process, like you use Western medicine.
No.
So
So
it's natural. What
it's ancient.
else sets you? What's that?
Ancient. It's an ancient healing therapy. And when I was
Mm,
18 years ago or so, when I was struggling to breathe, and I felt my whole body shutting down in front of me, and my daughter standing there, 8 years old, and I'm saying to her, go and get the neighbor. And the neighbor rings the doctor. The doctor says, get an ambulance straight away. And an ambulance came. I could literally feel my body closing down and shutting down. I looked at my daughter and I thought, this is the last time I'm going to see her face. Please don't let it be. Anyway, so there's a long story to this, and this is why I wrote my 2 books on my journey, which sold in 2006 onwards and so forth. So what happened here was something phenomenal happened to me, which is not actually what would be written in textbooks, but I had a phenomenal experience in the middle of the night, and I just cried out. I didn't know who I was crying out to. I just thought, goodness me. I just said, God, whoever you are, wherever you are, please do not let me die just now. My mission and purpose is not completed, and I cannot die now. And then, believe me or not, if it depends what mind your place is at, and whether you believe in other than just the medicine of the Western world or Eastern world, but 3 angels came in front of me and started working on my body. And that's all I can tell you. I was wide awake, I was completely conscious, and they were doing almost like an operation on my body, on my 7 chakras at that time, is what we recognize. And guess what? I thought after that whole hour felt like a full operation. I thought, right, that's it now. I'm going to be recovered. And I fell asleep. I said to my husband, did you see what happened last night? Did you see them? And he said, see what? And it was only for me to be seen. But I thought then I was going to recover, but I was still disabled for another 2 years. It took still 2 years for me to recover. To the day, to the month actually, I recovered when I became first ill. So all of a sudden my aches and pains went. I could breathe, I could walk, I could talk, I could do everything just like that. And it was a miraculous sort of a sensation and a feeling. And the way I talk about it for years now, it has been just that. So yes, I think for me it was an experience, it was a phenomena, and through that came all my work, all my teachings, all my spirituality of how I've passed it on through the last 17, 18 years.
nice. So a lot of people, they think, just kind of what you're saying there. A lot of people think, well, Western, that's really the only pathway. But I was just talking with someone. Western medicine has not always been around. What did the people do
Exactly.
before Western medicine? How did they survive before Western medicine? They must not have done. That's not true. What they did was
It's not true.
utilize skills not from ancient uh, ways of healing, about which I believe in many far better than many of the that we use today.
Interesting that you're saying this guy too. And because of what happened to me back then in that period of time, and my miraculous recovery was literally a miraculous recovery, and that's why I had to write about it and all my phenomenal experiences during that 2 years of being disabled, bedbound, basically, couldn't walk, couldn't talk, couldn't sleep. I lost a lot of weight and I couldn't even walk to my door. I couldn't even make it to the toilet. It was that severe. And my husband lost his job for the second time round to look after me and my children and all of us. And I only know what I do know and what I was offered from a Western medical point of view to what I knew there was something bigger and greater than just us. And I know that there's somewhere along the line I've tapped into that sort of frequency and energy, and that's what I know and that's what I teach. I've been teaching it for, well, like I say, as soon as I was sort of coming into recovery, and I wasn't quite recovered at the time. I was already telling people these were my stories. This is real. This is happening to me right now, and other people started experiencing it too, within my space. And my children were sensing and seeing things, which is beyond belief, actually. And they were saying things that were really quite phenomenal. And how could this be? Does it even make sense? So even like one of my books that I wrote, it went off to America and it did really well. My publishers are in America. They're not even around here. And I had people coming back to me saying, wow, this is your true story. I said, yes, I would never make this up at all because the people that were in my life then are still in my life right now. And they knew exactly what I was telling them, back then. So, there is truth in this. And the school down the road from where I live, they studied it in religious education, my book. And it was just really great to see that they actually opened it up to, into a study for a class. It was studied in America by somebody, I can't remember who right now. And it's also been, and my whole story has been studied here in the UK by certain people in university to see, where does this all come from? Is it true? Could it be fake? Am I really talking the truth? And of course, I would never do anything other than that. And this is a true story, and that's why it went out there. But we can. I mean, when I look at my journey back then, how did I recover? There was something greater behind me helping me to get better so that I could help other people get better. And that's what I've done. I've taught so many people over the nearly 2 decades now in what I know, what I teach them. And this is quite a phenomenal therapy. It's not Reiki, it's not hypnotherapy, it's not some of the other therapies you may know of. It's nothing like that. It's ancient, it's pure. There's an Indian element to this, pure divine element to this. It's quite powerful. And all the practitioners I've taught in this, they've done other therapies. And when they say to their clients, which one would you like today? They always seem to go for AOT. And that's the name I gave it because it's so transformative. It's called Angels of Transformation because of course, my first sighting was angels when I was unwell, knowing that they were going to help me on some level. Transformations is because it's truly transformative. And like I spoke today at a networking business meeting today, people were standing up and actually sharing their stories, how I've helped their children sleep when they've never slept in their own beds ever. For the first time, they were sleeping in their beds at the age of 4, you see, because they were scared at night, whatever. There's so many stories like these. These are just miracles. We have miracles every single day. And it's just so, I feel so blessed actually, Guy. That's how I feel. I feel as if, when I cried out at the night, that night, and I said, please don't let me die just yet. My mission is not completed. And I was so, so scared to close my eyes at night because I thought I'll never wake up in the morning. In the daytime, if I lay here so, so ill, so poorly, I was so scared to close my eyes. Not even if I closed them, I thought I'll never see my family ever again. One of the most frightening things I've ever been through in my life.
Mm. So, what was the name of the book again?
So the name of my first book, there's 2 books. My first book is Seeing is Believing, Believing is Seeing.
Seeing
And my
is
publishers are actually in
believing,
the
believing is seen. And where does somebody?
So you can get it
Amazon?
on Amazon, but I do, yes. I also send them. I mean, I wouldn't always recommend a big chain like that because I prefer people to go directly to the source of the person because you're going to get a signed message in the book specifically for you with a message inside specifically for you. And you can order them
Okay.
from my website anyway.
So before you go, before you continue, if they're going to go direct to you, how would they do that? Is that a website?
There is. So I have angelsoftransformation.com, www.angelsoftransformation.com.
One second here.
Yeah,
Let's see, where is this?
www.
Angels
Of transformation.
are transformation.com.
Yes.
Oh,
And I also have the other website is soul-to-soul-wellbeing.com.
okay, so did I get that right?
Oh, Angels of OF.
Angels what?
Angels
Say it
of
again.
Transformation.
Oh, just the letter
Angels
R?
OF.
Oh,
OF.
angels
Of.
Okay.
Of.
All right, so let's try
Our
this.
accents. Yeah.
Angels of
Of
transformation.com.
transformation.com.
Let's
That's
see here.
right.
Do we have that now?
Yes, that should be it.
Is that
Angels
correct?
of Transformation.
All right, and then
Soul to Soul Wellbeing. So
and
it's
what was
Soul
the
to
second
Soul
website?
Wellbeing. So the
Say it
second
again.
book is Head in Heaven. Here we go. Head in Heaven, Feet on Earth.
Head in Heaven, Peace on Earth.
Feet on
All right,
her.
angelsoftransformation.com too.
You should be able to, or soul-to-soul-wellbeing.com.
Soul to soul
Wellbeing.
being.
Yes,
.com.
.com. Yeah, and see
Did I get
again,
that right?
you've got the not far off where it says 2, it's a number 2. Yeah. So this is a way of sort of understanding, I know there's a lot of therapies out there. That's wonderful, thank you. Perfect. And there are a lot of therapies out there, we
Awesome.
all know that. Yeah, and it's just finding really, I suppose, for the audience here is finding what suits you. But I know for a fact, with what we've been doing for years and all the practitioners that I've trained up, they get the same results as I do. And there's so many, like we say, we get them every day from our practitioners when we share them, and I'm with myself. And it's just an honor, actually, I've got to say it is an honor for me to do the work that I am doing, because it's helping changing family lives, family dynamics. It just helps to support them for the long term. It's not even short term, it's usually long term. And given the trainings that I do give, because I do run a course called Wings of Change. It's a training program on spirituality, just spirituality. It's a 16-week plus a bonus week in that as well, 17-week program where I teach you about spirituality. It's quite phenomenal. People have got a lot from that. You've got to be in it to feel it, because it's educational. So giving you the truths, taking away the myths of spirituality, because I see a lot of people and they'll say, is this angel for that? And I'm thinking, no, that angel isn't for that. And, people have got quite confused in the modern day world, because there's so many people doing work on spirituality, but it's getting more and more confusing because people aren't going to the root of what really is true. So what we did with Wings of Change, when we put that program together, it was to help people to understand the truth of spirituality. And it is really quite a powerful course. So that helps people to understand, especially when we get a 20-year-olds, 25-year-olds coming onto the programs. They want to know, what is spirituality? Then I just say, do you want to come on this course? Because it will help you. And it's a long educational program which gives you the truth, but helps you to sense, feel, and understand it as well.
So, who is your ideal person you want to work with?
My ideal persons are people who really want to change their life, who are thinking, you know what, I've struggled with anxiety, for example, I've struggled with stress, I've struggled with family upsets, I've struggled with my body, with the illnesses. Like at the moment, I'm dealing with a lady with cancer, which I do quite often, actually. We do get some really good results. And she said to me, Parveen, just look at me. I'm not happy with my body, because she's had probably other operations, not just the cancer side. And she just didn't feel comfortable in her skin. She doesn't know what's going to happen next. She's got more tests to be done. She's got to go on some more therapy. And I said to her and her husband, come to me, come and see me. And he brought her. And there's lots of transformations in the first 4 sessions. And I said, there's lots more to be done with you, lots of work to be done on you. Because sometimes, when we've lived a happy life, we don't think that's got anything to do with it. There's other things, that impact of stuff that happens in our life that affects us. And quite often, the stress and the anxiety and the illnesses are going to come from something that's happened in your life. So when I was helping her, she was like feeling calmer, feeling more relaxed, lots of tears, lots of sadness coming out. But it's that realization of, she said, please just heal me. Just heal me. I want to be healed. I said, I can help you. It's going to be a bit of a journey because you've had this for some time. So just allow me to work with you. And her husband said this the other day, I think she's ready for the next 4. So we do them in sets of 4, and you get some really great results with this as well. And he's seen the difference in her, and that's why he said, am I ready to bring her back? I said, of course. I said, she's had cancer for some time now, and the cancer's not disappeared yet, and there's tests to be done. Keep on bringing her to me while she's having chemotherapy, whichever therapy she's having. Bring her to me. She'll still get something great. So that's my ideal
Awesome.
person. People who have struggled through all sorts of things, really, because there is no limit on this, actually, Guy. It's for anybody, and I will say anybody, and it is for everybody. My youngest client was 3 weeks old, well, in pregnancy, then 3 weeks old. My eldest was 86.
Wow. 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 All right. So these 2 websites, are those the best way to get in touch with you?
Yes, of course. And if anybody wants to contact me directly, it's not a problem. You can easily have my email address, which I can just say right now, which is parveen.angels@yahoo.co.uk. So that's parveen.angels@yahoo.co.uk. And I'm more than happy to speak to you and take you through the understandings of how I work with people, what we can do for you,
Okay,
because
stop
every
for a
single
minute.
person,
So yeah, at
yeah,
Yahoo, what was the last part?
dot .co.uk.
Did I get that right?
Yes, you have. It just needs an S on it. We're just probably just missing out a little bit. Yeah,
Awesome.
here we go. Parveen.angels@yahoo.co.uk.
So an S on the Angels.
Yes.
Okay. You know,
There we go.
there you go.
Perfect.
Does that work?
So, yes, that should work.
Perfect. All right. Well, I'm going to go ahead and put you on hold for a minute while I kind of do a plug here. Back
Mm,
for some golden nuggets.
Thank you.
Again, my name is Guy Severson with Therapy in Rapid City, South Dakota. Uh, my wife and I have had Rapid City massage therapy for 5 years. We are the leading practitioners in the Rapid City area, according to Google, with over 400 5-star reviews. And the reviews are amazing reviews, too. So if you'd like to get in touch with us for a massage, by looking up gracefultouch.org or products.org, and you can see any of our more than 50 product related items that we have that address a number of concerns to the human body. If you also are interested in getting on and doing what Parveen has done today, and having a show featured around you and your focus focus on health, just reach out to me on Instagram. Where you can find me is Pain Relief for You, the number four, the letter U. Now, without any further ado, let's bring Parveen back for some closing thoughts. Parveen, welcome back.
Thank you, Guy.
All right. So, my question to you is if there was only one thing you could have the people listening to this video today only be able to take away one takeaway, one golden moment, what would you want that to be?
Don't leave your health too late.
Don't leave.
Your health too late. Act
Don't
on
leave
it.
your health. Act on it now. That way, because if you try and act on it after, it's a battle. Pay attention to your
Yeah.
health. Great advice. Great advice. Bean, I thank you for your time today, and I just want to say I appreciate the interview that we've done, and I will be sending you a link to get out to other people. Other than that, thank you, and we'll see you on the socials.
Thank you so much, Guy. Thank you for having me here today.
You're very welcome. Take care.
Thank you. Bye-bye now.
Bye.